All right. I have a scary story for you guys. This is a story about camping. Come here. Come close. Come close. Okay. This is not my story, but I'll pretend it is, okay? So, wait. Let's turn up the creepy music. Hold on. So, I live in Eastern Oregon, and my mom lives in Western Oregon. I went to visit her for the summer, and she's very outdoorsy. So we decided to take the 1 hour drive from her city to the coast. We ended up at this free campsite at the top of this hill, huge foothills of the coastal mountains, about 25-minute drive from the top where the campsite is to the bottom, where the main road was. And we were the only campers there. We relaxed for the rest of the day, made food, etc. A truck full of men suddenly drive up the hill and talk with my mom. I don't know what about. I wasn't suspicious at the time. And then they leave us. Fast forward to the middle of the night. I wake up to my mom sitting straight up in the tent. I wake easily, so I heard her gasp, and it woke me. As soon as she saw I was awake, she put her hand over my mouth because I was starting to ask her what's wrong. It was dead silent. And all of a sudden, you hear footsteps right beside the tent. The little flap that covers the zipper was even moving. Thankfully, my mom has quick wits and said very loudly, "Kenny, grab the gun." Kenny is my dad, although that doesn't matter. And mind you, he was not there, just us girls, like I previously said. They left. No harm was done, thanks to my mom. Wait, this is a real story, that's all. That sucked. That was terrible. That's all. Okay. I mean, it's like that was a horrible story. It was not even scary. Okay, we have to get a different one. Terrifying ghost stories you shouldn't read alone. That was very disappointing. Okay, here. I'll read another one. Okay, here. Sorry, you guys. That's all. That's like me telling the story. One time when I was in, I think the music's a little loud. How creepy. It's hard to know with this. One time when we used to live in an apartment in the middle of the night, we were sleeping and I woke up to somebody trying to like enter our apartment. Like the door was like jingling a bunch. And then after a little while, they just stopped and left. That's like turning that into a horror story. Like it's scary, but like it's not horror. When the mom sat straight up and was scared, I just immediately defecated. Oh, you're disgusting. Okay, we'll read this one. I hope it's good. A couple of months ago, my friend's cousin, a single mother, bought a new cell phone. After a long day of work, she came home, placed her phone on the counter, and went to watch TV. Her son came to her and asked if he could play with her new phone. She told him not to call anyone or mess with text messages, and he agreed. At around 11:20, she was drowsy, so she decided to tuck her son in and go to bed. She walked to his room and saw that he wasn't there. She then ran over to her room to find him sleeping on her bed with the phone in his hand. Relieved, she picked her phone back up from his hand to inspect it. Browsing through it, she noticed only minor changes, such as a new background, banner, etc. But then she opened up her saved pictures. She began deleting the pictures he had taken until only one new picture remained. When she first saw it, she was in disbelief. It was her son sleeping on her bed. But the picture was taken by someone else above him, and it showed the left half of an elderly woman's face. The end. Ooh, spooky, spooky. What do you rate that one? Did you get spooked? Did you get scared? Do you like that one? Is that one better? Did it scare you? We gotta get a better one. That one was like, if the tent one was like a 1, this one was maybe a 3. Okay, this one's longer, but I think it's scarier. Hi, Kia Bash, welcome. The grandma picture. Okay, we'll read this one, it's longer. The first one can't be beat. Okay. Ghost Bro is the name of this one. Mo, shut up, you're disgusting. Okay. My house was built in 1904. It is a single-family home, wood frame setting on a concrete block foundation. I've been living here for about 12 years. Of all the weird things that my siblings and me have seen or heard in this house, this one event is my favorite. This happened to my brother. About 10 years ago, my brother and his best friend had started a garage band playing mostly Spanish rock, alternative music, but in Spanish. His friends could only get together on Sunday afternoons. They would practice into the early evening, and they would usually call it quit by 8 p.m. This was the time I usually showed up and went to bed, because I worked the graveyard shift. This happened in late fall, so the days were getting shorter, kind of like now. They had just finished a long session when the decision to head to someone else's house came about. My brother handed his car keys to his buddy so they could load up the equipment. Everyone had filed out of the basement, but the tricky part was that they needed to walk all the way to the back of the basement, up the back stairs, through the kitchen, down the hall, into the living room, and out to the front porch. Everyone was outside sitting in my brother's truck waiting for him. My brother was walking up the back stairs when he remembered he had left his pancakes in a to-go... Sorry. When he had remembered that he had left his pancakes in a to-go container sitting on a speaker in the basement. Oh no. He made the decision to go back. Now, the basement is not clean. With full sight lines, there had been partitions made, and the boiler and main heating unit are right smack in the middle. So after my brother walks back, he is about to retrieve his food container when out of the corner of his eye, he sees it. It's a shadowy figure, right at his peripheral vision. This feeling of dread and uneasiness washed over my brother. We'd been taught that if you're in the presence of a spirit or ghost and you feel a bad vibe, to say a quick prayer or to cuss at it. My brother chose the latter. He basically just told it, hey, F you, I don't have time for this shit. My brother started to walk to the back of the basement and briskly up the stairs, closing the doors and turning off the lights as he was walking out. The last light switch is on the opposite side of the front door. Luckily, the door was open and the light from the street lamp was flooding the living room with its amber light. My brother said he felt something at his back, but at no point did he turn around. As he flicked the last switch, the living room went dark, as did the rest of the house. As he stepped out, he pulled on the door, closing it behind him. Still holding his food container in one hand, he jogged down the porch steps. He walked towards the front gate. Our house resides far from the main street, essentially having a large front yard but no rear garage. As he closed the gap between himself and his friend-laden truck, He kind of smiled and thought things over in his head, mad at himself for spooking out when there was no reason. He climbed into the driver's side of the truck, putting on his seatbelt and getting ready to pull out of the parking spot in front of the house, when one of his friends asked, "Hey, wait, what about your brother? Isn't he coming with us?" My brother answered, "What do you mean? He went to work early tonight and he's already gone. Do you see his car anywhere?" The next question they asked, "So, then who was walking behind you when you were leaving the house?" That's so creepy. Nope. All right, what's your rating? What do you think? Spooky stories. And who was on the phone? Huh? This one was better. You liked it? Maybe like a 6? Where am I reading the stories? Just random places on the internet. Just random ones. Oh, this one's good. Okay, we'll do this one. The leftover pancakes in the to-go container. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't the most well-written horror story. When my brother remembered he left his pancakes. Weird. Oh no. Okay, one more. The Following is the name. My older sister has a ghost that's followed her around for years. I lived with her once for about 3 months, and so much weird stuff happened in that time. All my sister would say to me when I mentioned it was that her ghost... Oh, sorry, that was confusing. All my sister would say to me when I mentioned it was that her ghost didn't like me being there. Things like going to bed with everything locked up and switched off, and waking up in the morning with the back door open, lights on, and the kettle switched on. One night, my sister and I were getting ready to go out, and I'd asked to borrow her liquid foundation. I used it and put it back where she kept her makeup. 10 minutes later, she's asking me for it, and it was nowhere to be seen. She accused me of taking it and made me buy her a new one, and refused to listen to my side of the story. About a year or so later, when she was packing to move to a new house, she found the makeup in a shoebox with some old letters. The shoebox was in a zipped up suitcase that was underneath her bed. But probably the most scared I ever felt was one afternoon when I was the only one in the house, which rarely ever happened as 4 other people lived there. I arrived home from work and headed straight to the bathroom. All the doors and windows were closed. I was standing in the bathroom. Oh God, I have chills. I was standing in the bathroom and started squeezing a pimple on my chin. What the hell's wrong with these people? I hate these stories. I don't want to read anymore. What the hell? Why do they have to do that? Why can't they just say looking in the mirror? What the hell? Okay, whatever. I'm just going to replace it with something better. All the doors and windows were closed. I was standing in the bathroom and started examining my appearance in the mirror when a female voice in the hall said, "Stop looking at yourself." It was loud enough and sounded real enough, and at the time I thought it was my sister. So I laughed. I told her to leave me alone and asked what she was doing for dinner. No answer. I stuck my head into the hall. There was no one there. I searched the house top to bottom and there was no one home. Okay. These stories suck. I hate this. These stories suck. Who writes this crap? What the hell? Like, you're about to get to like the real part of the story, like the creepiest thing, and you're like, so I was popping my pimples, like, stupid. That ruined the whole story, and same with the pancakes. The rest of the story is good, but you can't add in weird things like that. Okay, I'll do one more. We need to get the spookiest stories you'll ever read. Pimple popping scenes are scary. And I replaced it. The ghost said stop popping your zits. How is that even scary? What do you mean the ghost said that? That's not even scary. That's just weird. Okay, we need a good one. We need a good one. Okay. I think this one's better. The little girl who wasn't. Are those better ones? Did you find better ones there, Ellie? Let's see. Here. I mean, when they try to make them true, it just takes away from it. I'm just gonna read this one. It's true. Okay. I lived in a house from hell for 4 years, from age 11 to almost 16. There was constantly something happening. Doors flying open and shut, voices, footsteps. Nothing ever stayed where you put it. I was alone there a lot because my parents worked and I was constantly terrified. One of the most gut-wrenching, disturbing things, though, was the little girl in my bathroom. Every time I walked past my bathroom door, which was constantly since it was right outside my bedroom, I saw a little girl with blonde curled hair and a rose-colored dress. She stood there, staring, looking like a photograph from 1905. I started keeping the door closed so I could walk by without seeing her, but she was always there when I opened it. Okay, this one's good. I'm scared. Once I stepped in past her, I couldn't see her anymore, but I could feel her there. Oh, I don't like this one. She scared me, but I felt really sorry for her because she was trapped there, just like me, but probably forever. As the years went by and things in the house continued to get worse, she started seeming darker. I started feeling like she wasn't really a little girl. This one's scary. I don't like this one. I don't like it. I knew there was something ugly in the house, and I felt like it was presenting this sympathetic image to me. Then I started thinking I was completely losing my mind. One day when I was 14, I had a friend from out of town come stay with me for a week. I haven't told her anything whatsoever about the house because I didn't think she would come if I did. Right after she got there, we were sitting in my room and she left to go to the bathroom. About a minute later, she walked back in with a puzzled look on her face and said, there's a little girl in your bathroom. Yeah, I said. She hangs out in there. Blonde hair, curls, pink dress. Yeah. You know that's not really a little girl, don't you? I almost threw up. I was so relieved and terrified and excited and ready to run out of the house screaming. She wouldn't use my bathroom the rest of the week, and I started using it as little as possible. Eventually, we moved out, and I could not have been happier. I distanced myself from it mentally as much as I could. Then, when I was 18, I took another friend on a road trip to pack a few things up I left in the house, because my parents hadn't managed to sell it for more than 5 years. The minute we got on the property, my friend seemed uncomfortable. When we came around the bend in the long, steep driveway, he went completely white. I could tell something was wrong, but he insisted he was okay, so we got to work. After a while, he asked to use the bathroom, and I directed him to mine. Not 20 seconds after he left, he came running back in, gasping for breath, and slammed the bedroom door behind him. He started babbling about a little blonde girl who isn't really a little girl. All of a sudden, he went dead still, looked me in the eye, and very solemnly said, "She's not happy with you. You left, and you weren't supposed to." We threw whatever we could grab into my car and got out of there as fast as we could. Oh, that's creepy. Oh, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. I don't like the one with the little girl in the bathroom. I don't want to go pee ever again. Next time I have to pee, I'm gonna go outside. That one was creepy. I didn't like that. Did you guys like that one? What's your rating of this one? Did you like it? It was a little girl. A little ghost girl. My reading scale's 10 out of 10? You thought it was okay? Hopefully I could make them spooky. Spooky stories. Being haunted by a ghost isn't so bad. Are you sure? I don't know. Hi, Sappy Koala, welcome. You guys almost ready to play Soma? Now that we've set the mood with some spooky stories. We can listen to more a little later in the stream. Thank you so much for the follows, you guys. I appreciate it. I hope you like the spooky stories. When I was a kid, I used to have to jump on my bed from about 4 feet away. It never happened to either of my parents or in the presence of my parents. I used to have to jump onto my bed from about 4 feet away. It never happened to either of my parents or in the presence of my parents, but if I would get too close, a rotted gray arm would shoot out from beneath the bed to grab me. It would try to pull me under, but it never fit. I never fit. Still, it left a bruise I would constantly have on my leg that I couldn't explain to my parents to this day. That's such a creepy story. Oh, that's so creepy. I hate it, Rhino. Oh, I hate that. You couldn't hear most of the last story because of stuff going on around you, and you're disappointed because it sounded like it was the one good one. Yeah, it was. It was. It's called, oops. It's called The Little Girl Who Wasn't. That was creepy. Depends on the spirit. Not all spirits are hostile. Yeah, but they said it wasn't a little girl. I think they meant like she wasn't, like she was a ghost. The Curse of the Pimple. I hate that stupid crap story. The pimple, like the pancake dude and the pimple girl. I didn't like those stories. Aw, Jacob. Jacob's so lonely. You want to be haunted. You made that up, but you were always freaked out. I know, me too, yeah. I mean, what kid wasn't scared of under their bed? That's the scariest thing. Just like, we need to just stop having space underneath the bed. just, kids don't need that storage space. You're 100% positive that your great-grandfather that you're named after is following you around in life. Mainly because the relics you have from him always show up in a blatant spot in your house, even though you have them stored. That's so weird, Guardian. That's so weird. Hello, Figgy. Welcome. How are you? Or you're telling spooky stories. You're scared? I get so spooked. I don't know. I'm a scaredy cat. I get so spooked from creepy stories and stuff like that. This hat is also spooky me. It like moves on its own. You also live alone, so yeah. For a long time, I used to hear like thumping, like coming from above me. And I was like really scared because I thought it was the attic. And I like never wanted to say anything, but I was like, why is there thumping? Like, what's going on? And then we got Benji, and he would go outside and bark right when the thumping would happen. And I realized it was birds on our roof. So I got less scared. I realized it was just birds, but it creeps me out for such a long time. I was so scared. I was like, oh God. And then back when I streamed from the other room, there was like that little like crawl space to the attic. I was like so extra scared of that at that point. But it's okay. Now Mo has that room. You get spooked when it's dark and you can't hear any sound. Yeah, quiet is pretty creepy. Thankfully, the older I get, the less scared I am. But when I was younger, I used to be so scared of being home alone. Like, I was always just terrified constantly. I never enjoyed being home alone. I remember having to babysit, like when I was younger, I would babysit a lot, just like random kids. And so I go to a lot of like random people's homes, which I always felt was the creepiest. Like being home alone on my own was one thing at my own house, but being in like other people's homes when it's nighttime and no one else is home and the kids are asleep, I was always so scared. I'm like, I don't want to be a babysitter. I want someone to babysit me. Yeah, babysitting when the kids are asleep is honestly so creepy. I hate it. I started doing it from like the age of 12 or something like that, maybe a little younger, in my town. And yeah, I would always get so scared. I make a good witch, but not a mean one. Thanks, Figgly. You always used to think that attic crawl space was one of those store indents for balloons. Store indents for balloons. Wait, I don't know what that is. A store indent for balloons. Yeah, I don't know what that is. Oh yeah, I caught that, Guardian, yeah. You want Benji to babysit? Benji's a good babysitter. He makes you feel safe. Alright, well. Spooky stories complete. Did you like them? The children have returned. Just don't look at them. It'll be okay. Just don't look. They're almost gone. Don't worry. Okay, they're gone. I think we're safe now. That one's so creepy. So it is when the stores have indents on the ceiling so the balloons don't float around the whole store. Oh, I didn't know about that. That's interesting. You're scared. Yeah, one experience that could be called a supernatural encounter. It took place when friends you visited what was supposed to be one of the most haunted places in New England. That's so creepy. These are scaring me. When your uncle passed away, you went to the will reading and he left you his old house. So you drove out to spend the night. You couldn't stop thinking about him. He was kind. You got to the old house, had dinner, went to bed so you could pack his belongings in the morning. Halfway through the night, you heard creak of the door as it swung open. I was too scared to move. I waited. I could hear breathing come closer to my bed. Then I felt something jump on the bed. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. But then I heard it meow. Aw, it was a cat. That's awesome. I went back to read The Little Girl Who Wasn't, and I didn't get it at all. I don't know if it's my reading comprehension, but there's some detail that feels left out. And I don't know what my imagination's supposed to replace it with. I think the way they worded it is a little confusing. They call it like The Little Girl Who Wasn't. I think they're just trying to like imply that it was a ghost. Like she wasn't really just a little girl in the bathroom. She was a ghost. I think that's what they tried to apply. They made it a little bit confusing. Like, I'm pretty sure that's what they meant, though. The only supernatural experience you've had is being born. Oh. From seeming nothingness, I came into existence. I mean, it is pretty insane. Although, I hate to say it, but the conception is the supernatural part. The birth is like, it's pretty scientific. The you being conceived and suddenly being life is the insane part. Your parents are weirdos that get together with other adult humans and do grave walks. They record themselves exploring cemeteries, haunted places, then come home and drink and listen to the tape. Really, Fonzo? That's a thing? That's so creepy. They must love Halloween. You don't have any ghost stories, never saw them live. You only really like one of their songs anyway with That's a Bed. You saw a face in the woods. The face was not natural. When you look at it straight, it was gone. Then your girlfriend was acting distant, not responding to anyone, before coughing up blood and returning to normal as we drove a fair distance away from the place. Aha! Oh no. Is that a cat, Ellie? Aww. They're strange people. That sounds so scary. That sounds terrifying. You thought it was a ghost from right off the bat. She appears and then disappears, and the narrator just accepts that. So why is it a surprise that it's actually a ghost? You're just going to let it go. I think the point is that someone confirmed it, so it wasn't in her head, but I could be wrong. Yeah, but don't worry, you're not the problem, Farnex. The ghost from Sweden. Oh, I don't know them. I see. Hello, yes, I'm alive today. I brought myself back to life with my witchy powers. Without that experience, you would say you probably never experienced anything supernatural despite going to a number of known haunted spots day and night. So you enjoy exploring creepy stuff, hey Rhino? You love spooky stuff. You must be so happy about the horror marathon. You've never had a supernatural experience. There have been some odd experiences, but you've no reason to think they're supernatural. Totally fair. Mo says he personally doesn't believe in spirits, ghosts, etc. No shade to people that do, but in my opinion, if there's no reasonable proof of something, then there's not one reason to believe it. Again, no shade to people who feel otherwise. To each their own. Shade pun intended. I don't know. I feel like there are some things I go through life, like, I don't know if you can use the word agnostic, in general or just towards religion, but, there are some things I go through life just accepting that I don't know and I don't have a strong stance on, and that's okay. And, like, the spirit realm connecting with, like, the living realm, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I think it's okay to just admit that you really don't know how you feel about something, because I don't particularly like have a strong belief in that kind of stuff, but like the idea of it spooks me out, and it doesn't sound like extremely, I don't know. It's just hard to say. It seems like unlikely for it to actually like be something that exists that can like you can interact with, but I don't know. Believing in something with little to no proof is a delusion. Delusional in a scientific sense, not insulting. I mean, yeah, but that doesn't make it like extremely harmful, right? Like faith is not a inherently harmful thing. There's a lot of things in life you just go through having faith in, even if you don't know for certain. Like, for example, having faith that our lives have any purpose at all. You know? Stuff like that. Like faith that we literally matter in some way. You love it. You love going to haunted places. Do you believe ghosts exist? Not really. You know that energy cannot be destroyed, and energy may be able to drive a lot of things. In the opposite, you go through life thinking you know everything. You think you're gonna die of fear. Oh my gosh. You're logical, but you like the idea of there being stuff you'll never know. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Do you mean faith can be very harmful? That's not what I said. I didn't say that it's harmless. I just meant there are some things that it's okay. Like, there are some things in life that it's okay to have faith in. You don't have to know everything with certainty. And if you think you know everything in relation to your life with certainty, you're a little delusional. You know what I mean? Like, do you know for certain, like, what's gonna happen when you die? Do you know for certain why you're here? You know, like stuff like that. Of course not. We just believe in stuff. You believe in the eerie limits of science, particle physics, and energy, and all that can be very magical and almost supernatural? Yeah, definitely. Our lives have purpose, though. We matter to people who love us. Yeah, I meant in a different sense. Most things are based on faith because we form a lot of our identities and experiences through media representation of certain things. Hi, Petri, by the way. Okay, Themo. You suspend your disbelief in ghosts for fun, like with stories, but you don't believe that people who died can reappear in a way that living people can see. Doesn't seem to be consistent. I agree, yeah. We're playing Soma. We'll be starting in a moment. Hi, Kat. There's no such thing as absolute certainty. Well, yeah, that's true. That is true. I mean, even... I won't get into it because it'll upset some people, but yeah, that's true. You can't die of natural causes. Why, Guardian? This is too spooky. There's also the quantum realm where things do not follow the laws of physics as we know them. Yeah, that's very fascinating and somewhat magical seeming. I raise this question as to whether or not our understanding of physics and life in general is a result of more of our direct surroundings. On the topic of faith, religion is far more plausible than ghosts, simply because there's billions of people and tons of history behind it giving it some credence. It's something, whereas with ghosts, there's at best extremely questionable fringe cases made up of isolated anecdotes. Yeah, fair enough. A TikTok ghosts aren't real. I believe what you want to believe. That's okay. We're not saying like right or wrong. We're just talking about it. Everyone is free to believe what they will as long as it's not harmful to other people. Even then, that's the action. You don't know for certain, but chances are when you die, you're going to college. You're a donor according to your driver's license, I see. Thank you so much, Emma Saint. Hi, how you doing? I mean, maybe when we harvest the energy of our sun, maybe then we can see faith in science. Yeah, maybe. Your opinion is your opinion, though, and you don't dislike anyone for believing what they believe. Exactly. Death is your biggest fear? That's pretty rational. To be perfectly honest, that's a very rational fear. I love y'all, unless you're racist or something. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I've lived through so many natural things that should have killed me but haven't. I should have been dead 5 times over. There was a period of 3 days where I was septic, being forced to the hospital from failing legs. Wow, that's scary. I'm glad you're okay, Guardian. It doesn't make sense to you why people think death is negative? Well, when you don't know something for certain, it can be very scary. Like if you don't have confidence as to what happens, and all you know is that people you know cease to exist, and that makes you sad, and you don't know what happens to them, it's a pretty scary thought. But if you have some faith as to like some belief what happens and that gives you comfort, that is usually what takes away that feeling of fear and panic and stuff. I took a whole course actually in university on death and dying, and it was very fascinating and very it helped open my mind and kind of ease my perspective on that as well, and not be so like, not find it such a scary thought, but see that it's like it's just part of life. And like most cultures and religions like very just like teach you to be more chill about it, whereas like when you don't have like those kinds of things, like a religion or like a cultural background and traditions and stuff that kind of make you comfortable with it, it's like way scarier. But when you have those things, it makes it a bit less scary, or for some a lot less, and for some not at all. But that's where it comes from. I can tell you that from my course specifically. But it's cool that you don't feel that way. Good for you. I definitely still do, even though I just accept it as a part of life. If death is negative, what is positive immortality? Well, I think the unknown is scary. It doesn't necessarily mean it's negative, right? But it's scary. Whereas the known is often less scary. Your biggest fear is the fear of the unknown. You're very adventurous. Totally fair. Having 10 billion people believe something at least gives it more credence than if like 20 humans claim they're haunted by ghosts. Yeah. The scary part of death for you is never getting to do all the stuff you want. Hopefully, Jacob. Anyway, I mean, I guess it's kind of fitting talking about death during our horror marathon where we're watching and playing scary games, but yeah, interesting. It's just, to me, I just accept it as a part of life that you just have to learn to accept, because if you don't, then it makes living really scary. And most of us are here for a while, so you might as well just accept that it's just the way the world functions. And yeah, if there are things that give you more comfort about that, that's cool. And if there aren't, that's cool too. Do you think? Hi, Juan. How are you? Barreling down a hallway of dark topics with Manny and crew. Yeah. Very interesting. Thanks for this chat today, you guys. You think immortality sucks if you're the only immortal one. You don't want to see all your loved ones die and you go on. I know, right? Yeah. Thank you, Canadian Arc. How you doing? A lot more widespread at times in history. It doesn't come close to comparing to billions of people believing in the concept of a god. You think that death isn't what you're scared of, but the knowing of how you affect the lives of others, and knowing that no matter how low of a low you may personally be in, you make a positive difference in the lives of others. That's awesome. Horrible. Horrible with gaming. That's awesome. So you're not necessarily scared of death. What you're scared of is not making a difference in people's lives. Is that what you mean? Thank you, Juan. Thank you. Hi, Emmy. Welcome. Well, we're not trying to like be like, no, don't believe this, believe this. We're just having a discussion. So it's just an interesting discussion. Just all sharing our thoughts. So no one should feel like they're not free to believe whatever they believe, as long as you are not harming another person. I'm not even religious. I'm just pointing out that it's logical to believe in God before you believe in ghosts. It's more logical, you mean, yeah. You're saying that the number of people who believe in a proposition doesn't really affect the truth value of it? I mean, it definitely gives it more credibility. It doesn't necessarily make it true, for sure, but it makes, like, if there's a lot less of people believing in something and a ton more, it makes it seem more likely that the thing with, you know, a lot more support is truer, but doesn't necessarily make it, like, true or false, for sure. That's why we should be supportive of others enjoying their lives instead of jealousy or comparing ourselves. True. If you want a good listen, if you really want a good listen on outliving loved ones and a good reflection on death, Maurice Sendak had a great and introspective interview on Fresh Air. Wow, interesting. Yeah, right, Pepperoni. Me too. Just because the number of people believing doesn't guarantee the truth, it doesn't mean it can't imply the truth. Yeah, exactly. Jacob, this stream is your religion. Historic relevance is a massive factor. You're not religious either, but you think most religions have truth that has been distorted by lack of knowledge. Religion has dictated the course of humanity, while ghost stories have affected some ancient medicinal practices. Fair enough. Yeah, I often talk about it, but I study religion in university because I find it very, very interesting. And my focus when I was studying religion was like, what's like the thing I wanted to learn a lot about, which there weren't many courses that talked about it, which was unfortunate. But I really like to compare like the different religions and like what they have in common, and like what is like this common thread that, you know, like a lot of them share, which I personally find really interesting. I'm not really religious anymore, but that's what I focused on and found the most interesting when I was studying that. Like, I feel like there is the potential for, I don't know, it's a big topic, so I won't get into it too much, but I find it really interesting. Anyway, shall we play Soma? Enough of that. That was fun. Interesting conversations. We'll probably get more into philosophy again today, like yesterday, because of Soma. But yeah, let's play Soma. This has been fun, though. Thank you for the fun chats and the spooky stories. I think we play spooky games now. Are you ready? Do you have your cozy blankets? I'm not even wearing socks, and my toes are scared.